Banda Naira. Not so many people knew about the existence of the island. Hidden in the vast Banda Sea, it seemed even more isolated. However, these islands actually became a charm on the equator that has tempted various tribes and nations to fight over them. For more than a millennium and a half, these islands have kept bits and pieces of history scattered along the Silk Roads and spice routes, and during that period, nutmeg and maize played an important role in the course of world history. Welcome to Banda Naira, a name with 1,000 stories. Since thousands of years ago, these islands had become one of the areas that were influential in the Asian trade route. The main commodity was nutmeg, which is an endemic plant in the Banda Islands. The nutmeg tree grew only in Banda Islands and nowhere else. Nutmeg is certainly not a sweet fruit. It tastes sour and tangy. But the seed and maize have a distinctive aroma and have made them the prima donna of the ancient trade. Nutmeg and maize are used in herbal medicines, food preservatives, and cosmetics. Nutmeg contains an essential compound called myristicin, which is used as an antibiotic to prevent cancer and liver disease. It is known that nutmeg began to be traded in the 5th century AD by Chinese traders. Before arriving at the port of Guangzhou, China, nutmeg was previously traded at the port of Malacca. From Malacca, then it was taken to Goa, Calcutta, and Malabar in India, and then from Malabar to Muscat, Oman, and ended at the Constantinople market in Turkey. From Turkey, nutmeg then spread to Europe. Due to complicated trade routes, when nutmeg arrived in some place, its name changed. In the Middle East, they called it Malabar nuts because they thought the nutmeg comes from Malabar, India. And when the nutmeg arrived in Europe, they called it nut muscat or muscat, which means nuts from Muscat because they thought the nutmeg came from Muscat, Oman. The secret finally revealed. Banda Naira is the place where nutmeg tree grows, and this revelation became a tragedy for its inhabitants. And this tragedy is something that has changed Banda Naira in the course of world history to the present time. The major event that changed the history of Banda Naira to this day is Banda Moord 1621, or better known as Banda Berdarah, Bloody Banda, which was carried out by the Governor General of the Dutch East India Company or VOC, Pieterszoon Coen. The main purpose was to monopolize the spices, especially nutmeg and maize, under the control of the Dutch VOC, and also to eliminate the English as their main competitor. The Banda Moord incident took place on May 8, 1621, in front of the Fort Nassau, where 44 orang kaya or the leaders of Bandanese people were executed. Their bodies were mutilated and their heads were impaled on bamboo poles. Besides the massacre of 44 orang kaya, Coen also killed around 6,000 people, forced to exile 789 people to Batavia. 1,700 people fled to Banda Eli on Kei Islands, Seram Island, and other places, and not more than 1,000 people remained and managed to escape to Ai and Run Island to seek protection from the English. This tragic event that Coen carried out has made Banda lose 60% of its people from the total of 14,000 inhabitants, and which became known as Onotan Sarawanda. It is said that the massacre of the Banda people was an unofficial order from the Hidden 17 in 1615, which stated that in order to successfully colonize the Banda Islands and control the spice trade, they must kill all the leaders so that the remaining inhabitants would have no leader nor power to fight back. By killing the Bandanis, Jan Pieterszoon Coen achieved his goal, and Heren 17 in Amsterdam rewarded him with 3,000 guilders for conquering Banda. Therefore, the name of Jan Pieterszoon Coen together with Heren 17 and the Dutch VOC have been stained by the blood of Banda massacre victims. On the other hand, this genocide paid off for the Dutch VOC. From the sale of nutmeg and maize, they got more than 300 times profit that was used to build the city of Amsterdam and Hoorn, and that has given significant wealth to the Netherlands. As a result of the 1621 Banda Moord incident, the Dutch VOC then has full control of almost the entire Banda Islands and monopolized the nutmeg and maize, except Rhun Island, which was still under English authority. The 1621 Banda Moord did not somehow involve the killing of Chinese and Arab traders who had already settled there long before the incident and developed their culture. After successfully conquering the Banda Islands in 1621, the Dutch VOC agreed to end the long war against the English. On July 31, 1667, the Treaty of Breda was signed and brought peace to both nations with several agreements. One of the agreements was that the English could retain its power in New Amsterdam in America's Manhattan Island, in exchange for the Rhun Island in Banda Islands, which was under the English authority, to be handed over to the Dutch. This agreement was approved, and the Dutch VOC freely controlled the entire Banda Islands and made it the capital city, Provincie van Banda. The silence after 1621 Banda Moord actually grew VOC shareholders' enthusiasm for managing the nutmeg plantations in Banda. These plantations were not well maintained due to worker shortage. To overcome this issue, the Dutch VOC then brought in slaves, contract workers, and rebels against the VOC from various regions in Indonesia. Most of them were from Sumatra, Java, Borneo, and of Chinese, Indian, and Arab ethnicities. As immigrants in Banda Islands, these workers from various nations and ethnicities slowly merged into Bandani society. The diverse culture and tradition they brought were integrated with the existing Bandanese culture, and this resulted in Banda acculturation. Banda acculturation is most prominently seen in their Cakalele dance and Kora-Kora boat. Cakalele is a typical Maluku war dance, but over time has been influenced by various cultures and has formed a unique acculturation in Banda Naira. The costumes, flags, symbols, and ornaments used by the performers are a combination of patterns and colors from various ethnic groups who have lived in Banda Naira. For example, the hats of the Cakalele dancers came from the Portuguese troops. There were also those who wore turbans tied with cendrawasih or the birds of paradise, while some dancers wear batik, which is a typical Javanese culture, or Indian Gujarat cloth, and the weapons used are typical Maluku weapons such as machetes, salawaku or shields, and spears. Kora-Kora is a boat rowed by a number of people and is commonly used as sea transportation in Banda and North Maluku regions. The patterns seen in Kora-Kora boats are also influenced by various cultures, including Chinese, Javanese, and Arab. During the Dutch VOC period in Maluku, Kora-Kora was used as Hongi shipping fleet to control the spice production. The Dutch VOC then built Banda Naira as a cosmopolitan city and a miniature of 17th century Europe with such impressive buildings: the VOC General Governor's Office and residence, government offices, Dutch houses, school, dance hall, church, prison, court office, city planning, and proper water drains. From 1624 to 1940, about 8,000 people of various ethnicities from Sumatra, Java, Kalimantan, Chinese, Indian, and Arab ethnics were brought to Banda Naira. They gave birth to new generations that are well-mannered, polite, cheerful, friendly, and value the heritage from their ancestors. These generations do not differentiate each other by their ethnicity, religion, and social status. For them, all Bandanese are the same. During this era, many cross-ethnic cultures also emerged. For example, play and wayang performances from Java, kuda sasak from Sunda, debus from Banten, sawat, which is a mixture of Malay, Sundanese, Javanese, and Maluku cultures, the Mauludan culture originally from Banten, hadrat, which was popularized by Malay with Islamic lyrics, and also various kinds of traditional games brought by the prisoners, slaves, and contract workers in Banda Naira. In addition to the culture, Bandanese culinary also has a unique character. Also, the original Bandanese language is slowly being replaced by a new language with dialect that is a mixture of Dutch, English, Portuguese, Chinese, Arabic, Malay, and Javanese dialects. This dialect has become a particular identity for the people of Banda, and which distinguished them from the other migrants. It has been 400 years since the Banda Moord incident, the most horrible, sad, inhuman event in history, but it is the starting point of a more pluralistic Bandanese society with its rich and unique culture. A culture that does not talk about ethnicity, that is anti-racist, and live by the values of Pancasila, the 5 principles, Indonesia's core ideology. The time when Indonesia's first Vice President Bung Hatta was exiled in Banda Naira. From the year 1936 to 1942, he once stated that Banda Naira is a mini version of Indonesia. All ethnicities and nations are there, merging and living within its people. We are the people of Banda, us who lost our indigenous identity, native language, social status, and never bring up racism, but proudly call ourselves Indonesians. Banda Naira, the beginning of Indonesian history.